Welcome back. This is video 2 of the 10 video series. I'm going to start by talking about bones. I know that sounds kind of boring old bones, but you know what? They're really important. Your bones are living material just like anything else in your body. One thing that's important for bones is weight-bearing exercises, and I learned that the same way that when you work your muscles and you lift weights, your bones develop from weight-bearing exercise also. So you need to be doing some kind of weight-bearing exercise. I want to talk a minute about osteoporosis. Osteoporosis is a major problem in America, and I think you're seeing a slide right now that shows a bone that's healthy and a bone that has osteoporosis. It kind of looks like Swiss cheese. One of the ladies who used to teach with us, who's passed on now, but she was very, very ill in her 50s, and she saw an x-ray of her bones, and she said they looked like Swiss cheese. Then she spent the next 20 years changing her diet. She became really a world spokesperson on eating healthy. Her thing was raw food, Elizabeth Baker. And she saw an x-ray of her bones 20 years later, and they were strong and filled in. So you can impact that. So now many, many millions of people have osteoporosis. I remember a story. A man, his name was Jim. He was a good-looking 80-year-old Silver Fox guy. He and his wife lived on a golf course in Tacoma, Washington. And it was Christmas, and his wife asked him, she said, "Jim, would you go up to the attic and get the Christmas decorations?" So of course he said, sure. He took a chair out and got up in the attic, and he said when he stepped back off the chair, he hit the ground. He didn't break his ankle, his hip broke. And he found out that he had osteoporosis, and it did change his life for sure. So what are you going to do about osteoporosis? Well, again, as you're going to be hearing throughout all of these videos, you need to be eating whole foods. And you're going to be hearing a lot about eating one ingredient foods. You'll hear me say that. One ingredient foods are not the things that are in packages and down the center aisles of the grocery store. They're fruits and vegetables and nuts and seeds and fish and whole clean produce. So those are the kind of things you need to do. But also, there are nutrients that are very important for your bones. Vitamin D is one. Vitamin D, and you get that in greens. Again, greens are whole food. Vitamin K is important for the bones. Boron, which is a mineral found in whole foods, almonds, avocados, and beans. The bones can also use magnesium. And pineapple is a good source of magnesium. So the next time you feel guilty about buying a pineapple because it costs $3.98, just think of how much good you'll be doing your bones by buying the pineapple instead of soda pop. By the way, soda pop does, the carbonation is very, very bad for your bones. Lots of studies that have proven that carbonation is not good for the bones. Now, and so again, one other thing that I like to talk about is alfalfa root. Alfalfa has roots that go deep, deep, deep in the earth with lots of minerals. So people take alfalfa herbs or they drink alfalfa tea, and that's good for all the minerals and for the bones. I also want to tell you there's a lot of bone support protein or bone support products you can buy out there. You'll find them in health food stores all over. If you're interested, you can go to our website. We do offer a professional-only product for bones. On any of these products, you would just go to the tab that says products from video, and you can find these products. All right, now I want to talk about something that I have just kind of uncovered recently, but I think it's really, really, really important. When I was coming to this seminar, traveling, I noticed in the airport, I looked, and everybody, I mean literally everybody, was sitting down or standing, and they had their face down like this, looking at their text. Texting is what we do. Now, there's something, a Dr. Dean Fishman is his name. He's a chiropractor in Florida. And he started noticing that kids were stooping. People's backs were getting arched. And so he really developed some texting neck exercises that we're going to be demonstrating later on in these videos, what you can do. But the problem is, we spend how much time like this, face down, and that is so hard on the neck. The kids, the young kids, their bones are developing, and they're walking around like this all day. You really need to have that cell phone, at least if you can do it, get it up to 90 degrees. So you're perpendicular, you're actually perpendicular, or maybe 70. But tell your children and for yourself, stop stooping. It's causing all kinds of problems. Not only on the bones, but because of the insides that are kind of squished, they're finding lung problems, arthritis. And I'm afraid that we're going to be seeing more and more of this as more and more of our youth live on their cell phones. Now, when we were young, we used to sit at desks and we would look down and we would write. We always did that. But then we got up and we went outside to the playground and we played. So we stood straight. So the text neck is something you really need to be concerned about. Okay, now we're going to talk about some of the human organs. You know, it was the psalmist who said we are fearfully and wonderfully made, and we are. And if we take care of the organs that God gave us with the foods He intended us to eat, we can live a long, healthy life. Unfortunately, many of us are not doing that. Let's start with the kidneys. The kidneys are, of course, we know what they're used for, but you do need to be drinking a lot of water, pure water. Your source of water, we won't talk about that now, but just make sure you're getting a good water. And lemons are very purifying for the kidneys. So when you go out to get water at a restaurant, ask for lemon. They're very good for the kidneys. If you have bladder infections, there are many bladder formulas that will help you. D-mannose is a natural sugar that has actually been found to help women with bladder infections, and that is available on our site or at health food stores. Now, the adrenal glands, I'll tell you my story. When I began working at the Jehoma Clinic some time back, I wasn't, after a while, I just wasn't feeling right. Something was wrong. And I just didn't have any energy. The way I described it was I felt like I was half plugged in. If somebody would just take the plug and jam it all the way in the wall, I would get the energy I needed. One time my son came home and I was laying down in the middle of the kitchen floor, and he said, "Mom, what is wrong with you?" I said, "Oh, just give me a minute and I'll stand up." I didn't have energy. We used to, at the clinic, we had a nurse, Sandy, and she stood all the time. She just stood. And I remember looking at her and thinking, how can she stand when she could sit? Better yet, why would anybody sit when they can lie down? Well, what I found out through testing with Dr. Wright, myself, is my adrenals were down. I had weak adrenals, and they are the energy glands. And so I know two of the nutrients that are good for the adrenal glands are pantothenic acid, which is a B vitamin, and vitamin C. I began taking those at the same time. I started a really intensive juicing program, which I'm going to talk about juicing later. And you know what? It took me about 6 weeks, but I got that energy back. But for a while there, I was not feeling good. So you want to take care of those adrenal glands. Let's talk for a minute about gallstones. It's a major problem. And a lot of times when the doctor puts you in the hospital, what they do is they fast you. They want to get you off of foods that could be causing it. It was a Dr. James Brenneman back in the 60s who actually found, I think he said 98% of his patients who had gallstones, if he would just put them on an elimination diet, which means he eliminated from their diet any foods he thought were causing inflammation and swelling, they would get better. And the big five really are wheat, milk, soy, eggs, and a couple other things. So a lot of times gallstones are just inflammation, and if you just get off foods and maybe just go on a fruit diet for a few days, you'll calm down that gallbladder. The liver. Now the liver is an important organ. You know, it's the organ, all the toxins go through the liver. That poor liver gets worked to death. You need to take care of your liver. There are many cleanse programs, we'll talk about that later, but there are herbal kits that you can buy in health food stores and online that are actually herbs and things that actually help you cleanse out the liver. So you want to keep detoxifying the liver, juicing raw vegetables. I don't really refer too much to juicing too many fruits, they're too sweet. But beets and deep greens are very, very good for the liver. Okay, now we'll go on to the heart. We know there's a lot of heart problems, a lot of people with heart problems. And one thing you can do about the heart is make sure you're getting plenty of magnesium. The American diet is very deficient in magnesium because you know why? Magnesium is found in whole foods. It's found in deep, dark, leafy greens. When was the last time you ate kale or spinach? You know, we might see a spattering of iceberg lettuce once or twice a week, but we don't get the magnesium. So important for the heart. Buckwheat, if you know about buckwheat, it's actually got rutin in it, which is very, very good for the arteries. And you can buy soba noodles, and they're good for the arteries. But I want to talk for a minute about L-arginine. There was some Nobel Prize work done by a Dr. Ignarro and his team he was a physiologist, and they won the Nobel Prize for their work. And what they found out is that nitric oxide is a signaling molecule, which means it tells the body what to do, and it's good for the cardiovascular system. Nitrous oxide actually relaxes the veins. So where do you find it? There's really only one good source, and it's an amino acid called arginine, A-R-G-I-N-I-N-E. Now this was Nobel Prize work that was done 15 years ago. Now you have leading nutrition companies, you can buy products with L-arginine that are very good. It literally opens the veins because of the nitric oxide. Okay, so that's what, and by the way, you can get those products online, you can get them at health food stores, and you can get it on our website. Another thing that I always found interesting is the Seventh-day Adventists, who are very health-oriented. They did a study on like a huge amount of people. It was like 32,000 people over a long period of time, 10 years. And you know what they found? People who eat nuts 5 times a week have a 50% less chance of having a heart attack. Just nuts. Raw nuts. I'm not talking about salted baked oil nuts. I'm talking about the raw kind you buy in bulk. So there's something you can do. And the other thing, more than anything for your heart, for your whole body, eat foods of color. Foods of color. They have flavonoids, and flavonoids are natural chemicals that are very good in all ways for your body. So foods of color, what does that mean? Beets, apples, grapes, blueberries, dark greens. These foods are so good for your body. Okay, let's move on now. The E word, exercise, which I know a lot of you don't like to hear, but we're going to talk about a study done by a Dr. Joan Verankos. She was a PhD, and she was head of the space program for the astronauts a decade or two ago, and she really was intently studying those astronauts to find out how their health was and what happened when they went out into space. Interesting book. It's a good read. It's called Sitting Kills, Moving Heals. Now, what she concluded, and you can read this in her book, is that we are getting ourselves in trouble in America because what do we do all day? We sit at the computer. We sit in our car. We sit in front of the TV. We sit. We are designed to work against gravity. Our ancestors, they were plowing, doing all of these things. They were working all day against gravity. When you're sitting, you're not working against gravity. Her research is quite interesting. She actually found that even if you go to the gym and work out intently every day, and then go back and sit the rest of the day, you have a risk of early death because sitting kills. And so the theory now is get up 30 times a day if you can. Stand up at your desk. Move your legs, stretch your arms, just move. Even if it's just for 30 or 60 seconds, get up and move. So the bottom line is sitting kills, moving heals. So get moving. Even if it's just something minor, something small, do it.